everybody. Welcome to the 2021 JA Tech and Innovation Summit. My name is PJ Hough, and I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Product Officer for Citrix. Thank you, Junior Achievement, for inviting me to be part of this incredible event. I really am honored to be here. Today, we get to inspire the future and make an impact on the next generation of innovators and leaders. The theme for today's event is the future of work. Today's innovators inspiring tomorrow's leaders. And who are tomorrow's leaders? Each one of you. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining. The future of work is transforming every day. Now more than ever, we need to be innovative, we need to be tech savvy, and we need to be digitally native. The future of work will require us all to be leaders who make an impact and be the change that will pave the way for how we contribute to society. What is innovation? Well, innovation is a new idea, a new method, a new device. Any one of us can create the next big thing through innovation, whether it will be the next company, the next gadget, the next invention, or the next process. We all have the potential to make a change in society and influence the future. It's not by accident that you're here today. I want you all to listen, to learn, and embrace what will be shared. We want to inspire you to be the next great innovators. You'll hear from JA volunteers who will share their knowledge of the technology and the future of work to motivate you to follow your dreams. Now, I'd actually like to introduce a JA student, Vikram Kacholia, who will be asking me some questions about my career and my past, about technology, about innovation, and about the future of work. Vikram, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction, PJ. As you guys know, my name is Vikram. I am currently a junior at Carmont High School in Belmont, California. And like PJ mentioned, I'm a JA student. I am super excited to be here today to learn from you and to be a part of this Junior Achievement Tech and Innovation Summit. And PJ, we have a few questions for you to answer. First, could you tell us a little bit about your career in technology and who introduced you to tech?
Well, thank you, Vikram. As those of you that have probably heard a little bit, maybe picked up on my accent, I wasn't born on the West Coast. I, in fact, grew up in Ireland. And that's obviously where I had my first introduction to technology. It was a high school math teacher who first introduced me to tech. Our school had one computer, and I was lucky enough to get access to that when I was in high school. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit about just where my career went from there, and maybe some of the dots that connected between there and how I'm now at Citrix. Because that introduction was really a life-changing experience. I ended up joining a relatively new college as an undergraduate, and in my first class, our professor asked us to raise our hands if we'd ever seen a computer before. This, by the way, was a computer science program. Less than half the students in the class had actually seen a computer at that time. And I think it just shows you just how early it was in the evolution of that technology that I became involved. But it also shows that sometimes I think you have to take these leaps. If there's something that's really motivating you or interesting you, you really have to take a chance and move ahead. I got a job in an Irish company, an American company, and that company no longer exists. In fact, they were bought several times and are now part of Hewlett-Packard. And while I was working there, I worked on a project that really was, I suppose, the next big change that occurred for me. I think obviously picking my major was a very important choice on my STEM career. But over one weekend, I managed to get my hands on some new software from Microsoft at the time. And I built a software application that my team had been struggling to build for months. And I built it over the course of a weekend. And I realized that technology was just going to be, changing many things in industry. And I set a goal of getting to Redmond, Washington, and to joining Microsoft, which I did almost exactly 1 year later. And when I joined Microsoft, it was very early in the career. So early, in fact, that I worked on products. I brought one along to show you. I'm not sure if the box is showing up on my video feed. If I hold it right in front of me here, you can probably see it. Office 97, which I think is older than pretty much everybody on this call. And on the back of the box is a description of the technology that I worked on at the time that made it into that product. And I worked for a long time at Microsoft, and then transitioned to working here at Citrix. The interesting thing about this box is obviously it's very large and very heavy because, well, first of all, it included all of the software on floppy disks, 46 of them, and all the manuals, because of course there was no internet. And if you didn't know how to use something, you needed to look up on the manual how to do it. Today I work at Citrix, a company that makes more software, more complicated software, and really all I have is the logo, because everything that we do is online. It is a cloud service. You can download it, over the internet to your computer and work on it. And so obviously lots of things have changed dramatically in the industry in that time. And probably that's maybe one thing that I'll encourage everyone on this call to think about is, what is the potential for where we are today and how technology could lead forward to where we want to get to in the future.
I really thought the point was interesting when you said that you were taking a computer science class and over half the people didn't even know what a computer was. If you think about that now, like walking into a classroom and you don't know what a computer is, I would say like that's true for almost nobody.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it seems like you've been working in STEM for a long time. What has been the biggest challenge or opportunity in your career so far?
Well, I think one of the challenges, Vikram, is this idea of just continuous learning. We work in a very vibrant and dynamic industry and a dynamic field, and so one of the challenges is finding time to keep learning all the time. I mean, that old software that I worked on that's in that box, that's very much out of date now. And even though I worked on it and at the time it was super important, what's more important is that I took the things that I was learning at that time and continued to apply them to new. So I would say that's probably one of the challenges that, I'm not unique in that. In fact, everyone in our industry and in STEM spends a considerable amount of time educating themselves and conducting research. And so I think no matter what your career, it's a good idea to commit to lifelong learning, because I think for most of you coming through the high school curriculum right now, one of the things that you're being taught is not just the subject matter, but you're being taught how to learn, how to study, how to pick up new ideas. And you're encouraged to do that because right around the corner, just a few years from now, hopefully you'll all be either in college or, thinking about careers. And the likelihood is the technologies that you'll use when you go into your first job will potentially be very different even than the technologies you're using today. So I'd say that on the challenges side, that commitment to lifelong learning. On the opportunity side, I think our industry and the technologies in which we work are having a major contribution to society. And so that I think is a very motivating thing and always has been for me, whether I'm working on the software here at Citrix that powers all the hospitals and the healthcare services in this country and around the world, how important that has been during COVID, that we were helping deliver those services. We are also the company that really helps people work remotely, and how critical that's been in the last couple of years also. So I think you take great pride in when you work in technology in the way that customers use the software to do great things. And that's probably the biggest opportunity is driving those types of changes in the world.
So the point that you brought up about committing to lifelong learning, I thought that was very interesting. And I hadn't really thought about, like a career as being something where you're constantly adapting to new things. Sometimes people probably think of a career as just, you're in one specialized area and that's what you do forever. But I think it's important to realize that, as our environment changes, as different things happen, you're going to constantly be changing where you work or what you do.
Yeah, I agree.
And then why do you believe students should consider STEM careers?
Well, I think it sort of relates to that last point, Vikram. I think there's sort of two ways to look at STEM and STEM careers. One is to do what I did, really to commit to a career that's in technology, and where technology is the purpose of the companies that I worked for. It was, it is what Microsoft do, it is what Citrix does. And so my career is very much centered in a STEM career. However, I now look at pretty much every other career. My brother is an engineer. My sister is in law, and both of them still leverage technology every day to do their jobs. And so the foundation of STEM skills obviously leads to opportunities in STEM related careers, but I think it also makes you much more adaptable in all careers. And in fact, as you and I have chatted about before, pretty much every career today involves some interaction with technology. And so being very comfortable around technology, being confident around technology, and having curiosity around technology and how it might change the way that your other businesses might work, I think is a real career opportunity for everybody. And I think it's something that no matter where you're thinking that your career is going to go, having a deep understanding of technology, engineering, I think can be really helpful.
And then, what things are most important to share and discover about STEM careers for the future of work?
Well, maybe you and I could talk for a few moments about one of our shared hobbies, which is shoes. We discovered when we chatted earlier that we both have a more than a passing interest in shoes. And one of the things that we were talking about was that during the Olympics, there was a discussion about the fact that Nike had invented a new marathon running shoe, and that shoe was probably 2 to 3% more efficient than previous shoes had been for athletes. And so it's a great example of STEM, in this case, influencing sports footwear, something that you might not have thought of naturally, or just the design of footwear in general. And I think it's a really good example of how STEM is going to infuse itself into lots of other processes and industries around the world. And in fact, you even said that you had talked to a colleague about those shoes, and they had practical experience with them.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends who does cross country and track, and what he told me is he has timed himself with those shoes and without those shoes, and he's noticed that when he wears them, he actually does run faster, which I think proves how much technology is important in making anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about the things that make STEM at the center of what needs to get, or what will get done in work in the future, first of all, I think just step back and think about what are the tools that now organizations give to employees when they join, when they start work. Well, it used to be that you got a desk and probably some notepads and stationery and maybe access to a printer and some computer that sat on your desk that you used while you were there at your desk. More and more now we see companies giving people laptops and mobile devices and access to applications and cloud services. Why? Well, because first of all, our work no longer gets done only during that time we're sitting at that desk. A bit like many of you, you don't just do work in class. You also bring work home with you. You may take work to be at a friend's house over the weekend where you can collaborate on a project together. Work follows very similar patterns. And so when you step back and you think about the technologies that are now enabling new types of work, whether it's an hour ago before this call, I was on a call with work colleagues, and it looked a lot like this. Chatting about an important problem, people scattered around the United States and in fact globally on the call, contributing and collaborating with me on how to solve new problems. So this technology is now part of the toolkit that we will all have when we go to work. Whether it's the mobile device, or it's the phone that we have, or the cloud services, or the applications that we use. They may be different than the ones that you use today, but they mostly follow that same pattern, which is enabling people to do their best work, stay connected to everybody else, and accomplish what they're trying to do individually and collectively as an organization. And so I think that that set of technologies, which was, I would say, in the past in your IT department, or maybe if you had someone who was a specialist in computers in your company would use that. Now it's in the hands of everybody, every employee. And that's what makes it really exciting.
And then, so let's say someone listening to this call has been listening to everything we've been saying, and they're thinking to themselves, I really like STEM now. I want to get a career in STEM. How would you recommend that they start to get involved in STEM?
Well, I think obviously things have improved a little bit from when I started. It's not one computer for an entire high school group. So I think, first of all, the access is better. The second thing is, I think there are lots of programs that are available, relatively easily available right now, that can combine STEM interests with a hobby or a passion that you may already have. For example, at Citrix, one of the programs that I helped out with was a robot wars competition where people build Lego-based robots and program them to complete tasks and then to battle against each other. And that's a great example of leveraging programming skills and engineering skills to build a clever robot and combining it with a passion or a hobby. One of mine being Lego, which I've had for a very, very long time. But whether it's music and digital music, or art and digital art, or making websites, or building mobile applications, building a fun game for your friends and yourself to share. I think there's lots of online resources, great training materials that are available, mostly for free, as well as many after-school programs that focus on bringing together the best of STEM technologies with a passion, with an interest, with a hobby. One of the most important things about STEM is I don't think you can get involved in STEM without having some goal in mind. It's actually hard to tell whether or not you're making progress. And so when I started writing small, simple programs first, like many people, I began by writing games. And when the game worked, it was fun, and I knew that I had accomplished something. When I shared the game with other people and they enjoyed playing it, then I knew that I was, taking their feedback, making the game better, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's part of it. You need to have a focus in STEM, whether it's an interest in architecture and buildings, an interest in science itself, or an interest in maybe a hobby, and then bring a STEM mindset to thinking about how you could bring technology together with that hobby or that interest to really move forward.
I think that would be very helpful for anyone who wants to get involved in STEM. And like you said, now that we have the internet and all these different resources, I think it's going to be very easy for anyone who wants to get a career in STEM to have access to the materials that they need.
Indeed. And I think you're going to hear a lot more throughout the rest of the time that you spend here today from other people, who've actually had careers in STEM and who have different ideas about how all of this can come together. So first of all, Vikram, I want to thank you. It was fun chatting with you as always. And for everyone else, I want to introduce you now to the workshops and thank the companies that are hosting them for us today. First, Amazon Web Services, they're hosting 2 workshops. At the first workshop, you'll learn about machine learning and how companies such as the NFL and Lyft and many others are utilizing the technology to engage with their customers in new and exciting ways. In the second workshop, you learn about the infrastructure concepts to build websites such as Pinterest, Yelp, and Netflix, all products that I happen to use. Grant Thornton will then lead a product launch workshop, which will discuss bringing technology and innovation to healthcare providers, obviously a critical thing at a time like this in our country and across the globe. My company, Citrix, will lead a workshop on building business resiliency with security and control using our technologies. Again, really important for organizations to be resilient and secure today. And last but not least, the Salesforce team will be leading a workshop on tech and innovation jobs of the future. If you need any assistance during the workshop sessions, please go to the help desk where we have JA staff standing by. I encourage you to learn all you can in the next hour, and I hope that this experience leaves a footprint that will motivate you to become the next generation of technovators. When you're all done with the workshop, and this is very important, come back here to the main stage at 5 p.m. to hear the closing keynote given by Nisha Nadkarni from Amazon. She has a great story to tell. Thank you all again and enjoy the event.
You enjoyed the workshops today. My name is Nisha Nadkarni, and I'm honored to be here with you at this Junior Achievement Tech and Innovation Summit. I work for a small company that you may have heard of called Amazon. For those of you who don't know Amazon, it's a multinational conglomerate which focuses on nearly everything from e-commerce to cloud computing, digital streaming, and artificial intelligence. It's one of the 5 big tech companies in the US IT industry, alongside Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook. But I haven't always worked at Amazon. I actually graduated from Lynbrook High School in San Jose around 7 years ago in 2014. And working at Amazon has been my first full-time job since graduating. I didn't always know that I wanted to work for Amazon, or honestly, I didn't always know that I wanted to be in STEM. Growing up, I really just had people that I looked up to, like my mom, who's been an engineer for 20 years, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, and Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg. And I had always been inspired by their drive to make an impact through technology. And I was fortunate enough to have an environment, even at a young age, in which I could learn computer science basics and grow my technical skills, like building my own website. Leading into college, I had always been afraid of technology, especially as an industry and even STEM as a whole, specifically for how few women were in it. I actually joined my college without a major, decided, and I'm really lucky that my mother is an engineer who was also a history major, and she was also self-taught. She really taught me that just because a task seems daunting, that doesn't mean that it's bad for you or that you should shy away from it. Worst case, you learn something from trying something new, and these learnings will ultimately help you find your place wherever you choose to go. And so in college, I decided to major in computer information technology. I went to Purdue University, and I graduated and found myself at Amazon shortly after. Some of you may already know this from if you got a chance to attend my workshop, but I get to work with cutting edge startups to help build machine learning solutions in the Amazon Web Services Cloud. I work there as a startup solutions architect, and I like to do machine learning on the daily. I think it is so incredible that you are all here today. I really wish I had this opportunity when I was your age. If I had, it would have been a game changer that would have helped me sooner find my place in STEM. For the girls who are on here today, I'd like to mention a statistic that honestly shakes me even to this day. As of 2020, only 29% of the STEM workforce is women. And this statistic is astounding considering the number of young women who dream of making a large impact on the world one day. STEM is a fantastic way to do that. And if this statistic shakes you the way that it shakes me, please know that the women in STEM community is growing, it's welcoming, and it has plenty of opportunities for mentorship. So now I'd like to close out with some thoughts on what actions you can take to get more involved with STEM if you're interested. The first advice that I have is that learning is key, and it doesn't have to be boring. You can build cool things. There are online resources that can teach you how to code, how to get involved with genomics. Growing up, I used Khan Academy to learn computer science basics. In high school, I used online resources to learn how to build a website for my speech and debate team. The next thing that I would recommend is to find a mentor. Junior Achievement has shown you some really awesome workshops led by some very impressive tech professionals. Please reach out to them. I think that on Hopin, you can actually check out their profiles and see if they've linked their LinkedIn page. Reach out, ask them about their career, how they got there, what advice they have for you. You may have seen Grant Thornton talking about healthcare technology innovation, or Citrix discussing security and technology. All of these professionals have participated in today's event because they care about seeing you succeed, which is a game changer. And finally, I'll leave you again with the same advice that my mother left me. Be bold, don't shy away from a task just because it may seem daunting. There's always a community that is ready to encourage and build you up. Junior Achievement is a great example of one of them. So I'd like to thank you again, Junior Achievement, for hosting an incredible Tech and Innovation Summit and for allowing me to share my story.
Well, that was a spectacular keynote. Thank you, Nisha, for being a part of JA Tech and Innovation Summit. Thank you, PJ. You were amazing also. And also to Vikram. I loved listening to your questions. And to the students, I hope you enjoyed the workshops and activities you participated in today. I'd like to take a moment to thank some of the folks that made those possible. Thank you to our volunteers from Amazon Web Services, Citrix Systems, Grant Thornton, Google, and Salesforce. We truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to host these live virtual workshops. And we're so grateful for your support. And thank you to the JA staff for putting this event together. It was very complicated, but it was worth it. And most importantly, thank you to our students and our educators for showing up, leaning in, and being a part of the 2021 Tech and Innovation Summit. I hope you enjoyed today's event. We inspire tomorrows here at Junior Achievement, and I hope today's Tech and Innovation Summit has inspired you to dream beyond your horizons. Junior Achievement has so many resources. Please visit our website and sign up for more. We have so many virtual learning experiences coming up over the next few days, weeks, months, years. Learn how you can earn a digital badge just for being here today. Please don't forget to complete the survey. Get your name entered into a drawing to win a pair of Apple AirPods. Your feedback is so important, so please do take the survey. Thank you again for attending, and I hope to see you at either our company entrepreneurship program, Finance Park, or our JA She Leads STEM Summit. See, we've got a lot coming up. Don't miss it.